Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Women of Golf Show. I'm Ted Odorico, and joining me is LPGA professional Cindy Miller, and we are your hosts. We're broadcasting live every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern here on the blogtalkradio.com network, bringing you some of the best golfers, teacher professionals, and entrepreneurs helping to elevate women's golf. We're so glad you decided to join us this morning, so grab your coffee and let's get started. All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you again for joining Cindy and I this morning. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, Ted. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm actually a little surprised this morning. We've actually got some blue sky here in Florida. We've had rain for several days, and it's kind of nice to see a little bit of a blue sky. It's cold, but I'm not going to complain too much. But thanks, everybody, for joining us again live this morning on the Women of Golf Show. We've got a great show for you. We're very, very excited because we are actually starting or helping to start to kick off the 2019 Symetra Tour season, and we've got a great young lady joining us this morning who's ready and excited to get started with the season as well, and we're going to bring her out in just a second. And, of course, I'm talking about August Kim, and then a little bit later in the show, a guest that was going to be on last week, and unfortunately there was a little bit of a miscommunication, but she's been rescheduled for this week. Ashaunta Epps, the CEO and founder of A Perfect Swing, Inc. She'll be joining us on the second half of the show. But we want to thank everybody for tuning in. And as always, Cindy and I are very honored to have you join us this morning here on the Women of Golf Show. So, Cindy, just a quick note before you had a little bit of a speaking engagement last week. Tell us a little bit about that before we bring on our guest.
Yes. So Buffalo had the Woman Up conference, and I was asked to kick it off with a keynote. So I delivered my It Box speech to 100 high-powered businesswomen in Buffalo. And it just so happened that I had to speak from 9 to 10 a.m., so I was not able to be on the radio. So I feel like I haven't even been here all year. But anyway, the conference went really well. I think I fired the troops up. It was pretty fun. And hopefully all those women will choose to pursue their personal it. Very
good, and I can't think of a better individual to deliver that keynote speech, so a job well done. Next time you're going to have to sneak a mic into the event, and we'll sort of do that live maybe on the show here. We'll try to get eavesdrop, if you will, on the show when you do an event like that. But glad to have you back always, Cindy. Always enjoy having you here alongside with me on the show. All right, as I mentioned, we've got a great guest to help kick off the 2019 Symetra Tour. And we thought what a great opportunity to have one of the players that's going to be playing in the event, the first event this year coming up on Thursday. And her name is August Kim, and she's 23 from St. Augustine, Florida, graduated from Purdue University. She also won the 2016 Big Ten Championship individual title and set the tournament 54-hole scoring record. Also a four-time Women's Golf Coaches Association All-American Scholar in Boilermakers history, two-time All-Big Ten first-team performer, also named a WGCA first-team All-American, and recipient of Purdue's Big Ten Medal of Honor as a senior in 2017. She's made the cut in 19 of 32 starts since her rookie year on Symetra Tour in 2017, with 5 top 10 finishes and a career-best solo second result at the 2017 Donald Ross Classic. And at the conclusion of her first 2 seasons, she managed to get into the top 30 for the Volvic Race for the Card money list. So she's inching her way up to the top spot, and we're very excited to have her join us this morning. So, Cindy, let's welcome our very special guest to start things off for the Symetra Tour, August Kim.
Good morning.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're
glad that we're glad that you were able to join us this morning. And very quickly, August, before we get started into our discussion, tell us a little bit about the tournament coming up this week. What are the dates, and what's the actual name of the tournament to start the season off?
So we have the Sky Eye Golf Championship in Northport, Florida, which is where I am right now. The Bobcat Trail is hosting it, and it's looking really solid. All the girls are really excited to be here.
Excellent. Now, have you ever played there before at that course? Are you familiar with it at all, or is this going to be your first time?
I have not. I played the course yesterday for the first time, and it's an interesting track. There's some cool holes, so I think playing there Thursday to Sunday will be very fun, very interesting.
Wow, very good. And you said, I think you mentioned off air that the tournament actually, it's a 4-day tournament on this one, and it starts on Thursday the 7th and then finishes up Sunday the 10th, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, this is one of the few throughout the year that is actually 4 days instead of the usual 3 for us.
Oh, very good. Well, they're starting you off hot and heavy the first tournament of the year. Good for them. Get everyone warmed up from the off season. Sure. So August, tell us a little bit just about the season itself. Again, it starts this week, and I know all of the young ladies playing on the Symetra Tour are very excited to, as you mentioned, to sort of get the dust off, if you will, from the off season and get out there and start competing again. So tell us a little bit, some of the things happening this year, in addition to this week, any other new events coming in, or maybe any new sponsors that have come on board that you can tell us about?
Yeah, for sure. So what's interesting is this first event is a first-time event for the Symetra Tour. It's one of the biggest purses of the year. It's $250K, I believe. And not only that, but the tour has added about, I think, 3 or 4 more events since last year, which is fantastic. And like companies IOA, IOA is actually hosting, I believe, 3 events. And Symetra itself, which is the title sponsor for our tour, is hosting 2 as well. So we've got a lot of big repeating sponsors who are really showing support for the sport and for our tour, which is really exciting. And it's also, I believe, a record amount of prize money. I think it's over $4 million for the whole year, which is unreal. So,
well,
wow, that's
I'm
great.
sure. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be excited to take some of those checks home yourself. So I know you'll be playing hard this year. Cindy, go ahead and I'll let you pick up from here.
So what's the best part of your game?
The best part of my game, my putting. That's my favorite part.
And why do you say that?
Growing up, I always spent most of my time with my putting. I enjoy practice a lot, actually. So I don't know, and it's a very integral part of our scoring. So I'm kind of glad that it worked out that way.
And you're from St. Augustine?
Well, I grew up in New York. We moved down. My family moved down to Florida when I was in high school. But when I committed to Purdue in high school, that's when I was living up in New York. So I was used to the cold weather a little bit.
Where in New York?
Long Island.
Oh, nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you're
very
used
good.
to brass, and bent, which is good.
Yes.
And what did you major in at school?
I was a biochemistry major.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
No, I
smart
appreciate
and talented. Smart and talented on the golf course.
We call that the total package, August. The total package.
Yeah,
thank you.
That's right. Always good to get a good education, regardless of what career challenges or pursuits that you have. So well done. I want to ask you something just before, and then we'll get back to a little bit about your game and so forth. But as I'm sure you're aware, there's been some rule changes coming into 2019, and I don't know if you've noticed or not, Cindy, but in August, but I certainly have. It seems that the men on the PGA Tour are struggling a little bit with some of the new rules. What are your thoughts, August, with some of the rule changes? Well, I'm just seeing a lot of reports in that in different media outlets and that some of them are struggling, some of them are having a difficult time. So I don't know, maybe the guys are just not as smart about it. I don't know, maybe the ladies on the various tours will have better luck. But what are your thoughts on some of the new rule changes, and what are some of is there anything particular that you see being an advantage and helping?
Well, I think the whole purpose of the rule changes was to make the sport itself more accessible on a universal level. And what's interesting is changes that would benefit maybe at the most amateur and the most daily level for public golf can have bigger repercussions in tournament golf. So, I mean, things like tapping down spike marks and stuff like that, I think that's a fair rule where, outside forces that you have no control over, to be able to correct those and having a fair shot at a real putt, I think that's good. But I think recently the incident at the Honda Classic, I believe, with Adam Schenk getting a penalty for having his caddy stand behind him. Adam's actually a friend of mine. He went to Purdue too, and everyone in our little circle is kind of bummed about it because it wasn't an incident that was an attempt to cheat or anything like that. But I'm sure that considering it's the first year all these rule changes are coming out, I think there'll be some adjustments.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's just a process. There are great rules and there are some so-so rules. So I guess we have to see and adjust.
Yeah. Do you think? I just want to follow up on that real quick, and then Cindy, I'll bounce it back to you. Do you think, August, that particular ruling there with the where the caddy's involved, that's one because you see a lot of players where their caddies will get behind and sort of help them see the lines and so forth. Do you think that's one? It's going to take a little while for people to sort of unpack that one a little bit because there have been a lot of players that have sort of used that in the past to help them with their game, and that's something that they're not going to be able to do certainly as easily anymore. And what do you also think about maybe issuing a warning because it is so new? There were a lot of changes, but I think 20 changes to the rules, which is a little bit unprecedented. Do you think that maybe in a case like that where players are kind of used to that sort of thing, that maybe a warning initially for the first few months of the season or something, or what are your thoughts there?
Well, although a warning sounds fair, I do believe that as competitors, it's our responsibility to be in the know and up to date to whatever rule changes are brought about.
Right.
But I do understand that it's very hard to change behaviors and habits that we've built for over a decade for most of the people who are competing now.
Right.
But I just things like, I guess in that rule in particular where the caddy isn't allowed to stand behind the player, I do see the merits of limiting additional advantages that one player might have over another. So I do believe it's a fair rule, but like you said, it's gonna take some unpacking and it's gonna take some time, especially for the rule committees themselves to really nail down the proper wording and the proper enforcement of the rule. So.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. They've had an off season or a little bit of an off season to really sort of soak in the new rules, and you're right. I think it's up to the individual players to make a point of adjusting to the new rules. And it's going to take some time, and there's going to be some missteps along the way, which we've seen already in tournament play this season so far on some of the other tours. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens out on your tour this year, if there's going to be a few missteps along the way. And I'm sure, knowing how the media is, we'll hear about it. But that's some great insight there. Cindy, go ahead, and I'll let you pick up from here.
So tell us what you've been doing in this off season to get to prepare yourself for this year's.
So what I've done is, beyond just the usual practice, I took some steps to kind of establish a more productive mental aspect to my game, and that doesn't just go. It's not just about reading the right books and stuff like that, but on a daily basis, establishing a good schedule, making sure that I have time for productive change in all aspects of my game, mental, physical, technical, all that stuff. So I took a much more well-rounded approach this off season. I think it really helped me.
That's great. Now, did you go work with anybody to do this, or did you do it on your own?
Well, this part of it, it was a lot of just self-assessment, reflecting on what I wish I could have done better in the past year. I spoke a bunch with my college coach, Devin Browse at Purdue. He's still a huge part of my development, and I still go to him with questions and stuff like that. The assistant coach at Purdue, Kristen Paulson. I'm a big fan of reaching out to people who I trust and who I know can give me direction. So a lot of help in that arena.
That's great.
Yeah, that's
great.
smart.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever taken the golf psych assessment?
I have taken one assessment, but I don't know if it's that in particular. It's about like what kind of golfer I am and like what kind of mental practices benefit me. I'm not exactly sure what kind it is though.
Okay. No, I think maybe what you took was the mental golf profile, but the
that's it.
golf psych. Yeah. So a D, an I, an S, and a C. Do you remember that at all?
I believe I'm an I.
I'm not sure. I's are very outgoing and talk a lot. S's are pretty steady and quiet and introspective, and C's are more analytical and detail-oriented. D's are Tiger Woods. I's would be Christina Kim.
Oh,
S
maybe.
would be, yeah, I don't think you're an I. Just by
okay, hold on.
I
I have the email. Maybe I can find it really quick, but that's funny.
Yeah, there's no way you're an I. Especially being a biochem major. There's no I that would be a biochem major.
Let's see.
Well,
but
if
anyway,
we're basing
there's
it on
two
the
different assessments.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ted.
Cindy. I was just going to say, if we're basing it on the talk a lot, I would be an I for sure.
We know that.
Okay, I found it. Yeah, I'm a C. I'm a C.
Thank you very much. Of course you're a C.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh, that is funny. So you know what? I friended you on Instagram. If you want to take my golf assessment, just send me a message on Instagram, and I'll send you a link. It's free. It'll really, because you're talking about being very diligent. High C's need to have a process, and
right.
So that's really important for you. So keep doing what you're doing because that'll make you play way better than most. You can't be somebody that you're not, which is
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, and Cindy's a great one to reach out to. She's very very good in that area of the game. So that's definitely something on your short bucket list, if you will. And speaking of bucket lists, if you will, a little bit, what are your goals for 2019, and what about long term, August?
Well, I mean, like anyone on the Symetra Tour, the goal is to make it to the next level. But been trying to kind of take the measure away from just pure results, which is kind of what kind of affected me the past 2 years, especially near the second half of the season. So, I mean, my goal is to take it week by week and just place as best as I can each day.
Yeah, I think that's a very smart approach because I think a lot of them, a lot of the players when they first come out on the Symetra Tour, of course, their vision is, okay, I want to get out on the LPGA Tour and probably put a lot of undue pressure on themselves. Do you think?
Exactly,
just trying to really grind it out each week. And I think, sometimes even though I know you've played collegiate and you've, played probably, I'm sure, since you were very young, this game, you're now out on sort of the big dance floor, if you will, and you're starting to play and sort of earning your chops a little bit. And I think sometimes some of the players, and we've talked to a few here, and you can tell just in their demeanor that they're very eager to get out there, and that's great. You've got to have that competitive juice, if you will. But I think also sometimes you've just got to sort of take it week by week, like you said. So that's a very smart. What about long term? I mean, obviously you want to get out there in the LPGA, I'm sure, and you want to play competitive and certainly pursue majors and things like that. But what about down the road? Is there something else that you want to do in addition to playing golf? Maybe teach or do some other projects?
Well, if we're talking outside the golf arena, like as I mentioned, I studied biochemistry in college, so I would love to kind of go back to that. I've always loved school and done really well academically, so to go back to it after accomplishing what I want to accomplish in golf would be fantastic. Be it, I don't know, research or med school in some form. But yeah, it's great to have that option.
Yeah, and that, again, that's smart. Yeah, I think that's very smart to go and get a good, solid education like that at Purdue, and then, again, you can pursue your golf career, and I know you'll do very well, but it's always nice to have that degree and that to fall back on, too, that, you can pursue other things, maybe a little bit later on down the road, so I think that's fantastic. And what made you interested in actually playing golf? When did you start playing, and what was about golf that kind of piqued your interest?
So my dad actually was a huge golfer growing up. I remember seeing him go off to play every weekend and whenever he had time. So when I was, I think, about 8 or 9, my dad started taking me out with him. And, yeah, I just had a knack for it. I really liked it. I started competing a couple years later, and I never stopped. So.
Well, that's good. You got officially bitten by the golf bug.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I think it's great, when you can get introduced to the game through a family member like your father or mother, what have you. But it's kind of nice to have that, because that's something that you have in common, obviously, with your dad, a love of the game, and I'm sure that's something that now. Did you get to the point where you started beating him, and when was that?
Yes, when I was 13. I still remember the day.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's a day
I'm sure it was
a day he'd probably want to forget, but no, I'm sure he would. He was very
dad, yeah.
Right. I'm sure he was very proud. What would you say, August, to someone? And speaking of that, you had the benefit of being introduced to the game, through your father and that. But not everybody has a golfing parent or parents. But there are some that might be on the fence that maybe would like to play. What would you say to somebody if you had a group of people that maybe were non-golfers? What would you say to them to encourage them to give it a try?
I think that golf is the most universal sport there is in this whole world. I mean, there are parts of it that reflect life, that help you with, discipline and the mental aspect of, just everyday life. So I don't know. It's something that can hook anyone and everyone. And I think that's the main draw for it across all ages.
I agree. You couldn't have said it any better than that. Cindy, any final questions?
No, I think you absolutely just nailed it on the head. Totally agree with you. I was just looking up the for some reason I thought that there was a guy from Augusta State that was at Purdue that was one of the assistant coaches that went to school with my son.
Coach Jake Amos?
Yeah.
Or Coach K, Mitch K.
Mitch.
Yes, I am a huge fan of Coach K. He's the head coach at Charleston right now.
Oh, you're kidding! Oh, that's awesome.
No, he's doing great.
Our son went to Augusta State, and in fact, Mitch came to his wedding a couple of years ago, which is cool.
Oh, okay.
It's a very small world, this golf world.
We've actually got a bunch of Purdue people who went through Augusta State. The head women's coach is Coach Caroline Hegg, and she was my assistant coach for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Shout out to her.
Very
She's great.
cool.
Yeah.
So your
very
assignment is to go practice your putting and continue with your process. And make sure you're very diligent about it because you're such a high C, which is good for you. And just tell Kathy Lawrence that Cindy Miller says hi.
Of course.
And make a lot of birdies. Make a lot of birdies. How about that?
Okay. Sounds great.
Yeah, and August, if you win this tournament, which we're sending you some positive vibes, you will come back on next week as the winner of the event. So we're rooting for you.
I
We want to have you come
appreciate
back next week. So we're
Sounds
sending
good.
you some
Yeah,
positive
okay.
vibes to play this week. So good luck with the tournament, and thanks for coming on and sharing a little bit about your history, if you will, and giving us an official launch to the 2019 Symetra Tour season. So good luck this week, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was nice meeting you too.
You too,
All
honey.
right.
Have some fun along the way.
I will. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, that was our very special guest. Joining us first up, August Kim, a Symetra Tour player. She's now in her third season, and obviously going, Cindy, for the quest for the Volvic race for the card, if you will, to earn her rights to be out on the LPGA Tour. So she's obviously going to do well. I think she's going to do very, very well this season. I think this is going to be a breakout season for her. What do you think?
I think so, too. I think she's
Yeah,
learning who she really is.
Yeah. We're gonna, Cindy. I was thinking along the way when you were talking about the golf psych assessment. I think that's something we should talk about again. Maybe dedicate some time on a future show to talk about that and go through, the different steps and the different, results, if you will, and explain again for everybody. And maybe we can set up a link or something, or direct them to your link. And try to encourage some folks to take that assessment, because I think it's a good one. I think a lot of people would really learn and benefit, not just people that play competitive, but even just some of our amateur players out there that maybe would gain some insight to their own game if they understood that a little bit better. What do you think?
I agree, and I think it's important for people to understand, number one, who they are, and number two, how they can play best within their own behavior style, if you will. I think everyone's trying to change everybody and become somebody they're not, and you just can't play to your potential by doing that.
Right. I was laughing earlier, and I was just kidding, but because I haven't really done my assessment for a while. You said the talking a lot. I automatically pigeonholed myself into the I category, but maybe I'm a little I or S or something. So I'm going to have to do that again. So you might want to send me that link. But anyways, as always, very good to have you back joining me here on the show this week. All right, so let's move into our next guest. She was actually scheduled to be on last week and had a little bit of, a miscommunication between us and her, and unfortunately she wasn't able to make it last week. But fortunately for us, we're able to have her on this week, so we're very glad that she's going to join us. Let me just tell you a little bit about Ashaunta Epps. She is the CEO and founder of A Perfect Swing, Inc., and their mission, of course, is to help individuals use golf as a networking tool to advance in their career. She is also an LPGA teaching professional, and using strategic brand management, she's established A Perfect Swing as a footprint in the golf and networking arena. She is also an African-American Golfers Hall of Fame inductee and has been recognized nationally as an outstanding leader in golf by the African-American Golfers Digest. She's won countless local and national golf competitions, and she took longest drive and low gross honors in the Black Enterprise Golf and Tennis Challenge 2 years ago, or 2 years in a row, at the PGA National Golf Club in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. So, Cindy, let's welcome our very special guest on the second half, Ashaunta Epps.
Good morning.
Good morning. How's everyone?
So sorry about the miscommunication. I never gave her the phone number to call last week.
Oh,
No
I was
problem
thinking,
at
it probably would have helped if she had the number to call. Well, anyways, Ashaunta, we're glad that you're able to join us this week, and I know it's not always easy to juggle schedules around, so we appreciate you taking the time to join us this morning. So I'm going to just very quickly start things off, and then Cindy, I'm going to throw it over to you. So talk about, first off, what is a perfect swing, as your understanding, Ashaunta?
Sure. So for us, a perfect swing in our minds may be a little different than some of the others when you think about that particular phrase. But one of the coins that we use is your swing is the perfect swing. And so the great thing about the game of golf is whether you just want to get out and get some high-quality vitamin D, whether you want to just get to a point where you can play in the captain's choice to be able to network for business, whether you want to reach your maximum full potential to play golf, whether you want to play collegiate golf or professional golf, whatever that purpose is that you have in your life, that's the swing and that's the effort that you need to put in to get there. So when we talk about a perfect swing, it's individual. It's specific to each individual because it's based on what they want to get out of golf. And I think that's the beautiful thing about the sport.
I think, wow, I like that. I think that's a great way to phrase it. And you're right. It is an individual sport. I think sometimes, that's sort of a forgotten metaphor, if you will, that not everybody's swing is going to be exactly the same. And I think sometimes too much emphasis is put on sort of getting everybody to swing exactly the same. But we all have, as you know, and I know, and Cindy, that we all have different, body styles, body types, and things like that. And the way we, move, if you will, is a little bit different from one another. So obviously we can't put everybody in the same box and have everybody swing exactly the same. So it does need to be unique like that. And I like the way that you phrased that. I think that was a spot on. Cindy, I'm going to let you pick up from here, and then I'll continue on a little bit.
So tell us what you do exactly with your corporation and how you help others learn to enjoy and master the game of golf.
Okay, sure. And if I could, I'd like to give kind of a little backdrop as to how it was started. So I grew up more of a basketball player, and unfortunately, as a youth, I had an accident where I couldn't play basketball anymore. I slid into a split. My hip popped out. It went misdiagnosed because it was sitting out of the socket at the back, but it appeared to be in place from the x-rays. And after a very long 6-month journey, I finally got to a specialist that was using this thing that we all know very familiar with today, called an MRI, and found that my hip was out of place. And so by that time, it was growing out of place. But I went through a situation where I was in body cast for 6 months, and because of the economic environment of my family, I felt like I felt like basketball was going to be my way to help my family, right? But when this accident occurred, it left me not being able to play golf, but probably, not being able to play basketball. But the worst part was that it left me personally in a state of what I know now was depression. I was angry. It was a very unhappy place for me. But thank God, through the love of my family and support, I got through that. I went on to college. I have a bachelor's and a master's in computer science. And coming out of college, I was a manager in the corporate environment within a year. And in the office, I would hear things about the organization and some changes that were happening that I wasn't aware of. So, of course, after I searched my emails to make sure I didn't miss an email, I found out after talking to some coworkers that it was a conversation that they had at the company golf tournament and conversations they had when they went out to play golf on Friday that I was missing, why I didn't have that particular piece of information. For 20 years, so after this particular accident, for 20 years, I walked with a hip that did not move. So it was fused shut. And at this time, going into corporate America, the technology had grown, and my insurance options were a little better as well. So I ended up getting my hip replaced. And my doctor forbid me from playing basketball. But because of the environment at work, I wanted to play golf just so I could be a part of the conversation. So I asked him if I could play golf. And he said, well, I don't know. It's pretty much hips and backs and knees, but you can try it. And I tried it. And one day while I was at the range just kind of practicing around, I said, what if somebody had put a golf club in my hand when I couldn't play basketball anymore? I couldn't play basketball because I couldn't pass the physical, and because basketball is a high-impact sport, right? But golf is a low-impact sport, and it's absolutely a sport that I could have utilized. And it was that day that I decided to start a perfect swing because I wanted to put a golf club in every child's hand, regardless of what it might do for them, right? Whether they're going to go and play collegiate golf, whether they're going to just get out of the house and not sit around playing video games all day, or if it's just going to be something that they can feel good about themselves about, right? And that is the whole concept of the perfect swing piece, right? What it can do for you. And then as you think about the overall picture, with me beginning to network as a business professional and understanding that that was something that I needed to be a part of, that's when we began to also incorporate the adults, where we as business professionals, we have several different or not even several, but lots of various backgrounds of individuals that play with us, where we get an opportunity to network, enjoy the game, and just have a great time, right? And many of them go on to play golf in other corporate arenas where they are making those connections as well. And I think that the great thing about our organization is that we have an event called the Backswing of Business. And when we talk about the backswing, of course, it sets you up for how you're going to execute. And in that, we think about improving our success in life by improving our backswing. And so at our Backswing of Business, golf range and networking event that we have monthly, we just take the opportunity to network with each other. We allow business professionals to talk about what they do, and our youth are there listening as well because it begins to develop the thought process of them thinking about what they're going to do as an adult, right? They get golf lessons as well, but we utilize golf as a vehicle, but we are heavily focused on leadership, communication, networking skills, and really just getting everything that we can out of the sport, as well as putting as much as we can into those others that are playing and interacting with us.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Again, I don't think you could have said it any better than that. What a great story and a backstory as well. Cindy, do you have any follow-up question to that, or?
Nope. Go ahead.
Ashaunta, something that really, while I was listening to you, my mind's always going a mile a minute here, and I'm always thinking about things that you've said. And one thing that really stood out to me, and I don't know if it did for you, Cindy, but being a part of that conversation at work, you hit on that. There was information that you were not given because you were not involved or even didn't know about being involved in something that the company was doing at a golf event. And a lot of people, I think have this misconception that a golf event is just a day off for everybody to just go and have fun, and which in some sense it is, but there's a lot of conversation that goes on because it's a very relaxed environment. And I think that there's a lot of people that miss out on that, and obviously you had for a number of years, and fortunately, a little bird, if you will, happened to swoop by your desk, and you heard a conversation.
Yeah.
And we're able to capitalize on that. And the other thing that caught my eye, or my ear rather, was that you mentioned that you wish you had when basketball was sort of out of the realm for you because of the injury, you wish that you had that opportunity. Somebody put a club in your hand, and I think it's like anything. I think once an opportunity is presented, then obviously it's up to the individual what they choose to make of that opportunity. And you've obviously recognized that at that point and decided to, create and forward, pay it forward, if you will, that opportunity that was given to you to others, but obviously in some cases at an earlier age, as well as adults out there. And I think that's fantastic. So my question to you is, now giving that knowledge and understanding of just how valuable golf can be. It's not just a game to go out and have fun, and obviously that's part of it, but it can also be a very valuable life tool and skill tool, if you will, in building networking relationships. So what would you say to somebody that was once in your position that maybe didn't get exposed, as you come up and are introduced to them? What would you say to them? How would you explain what you just did to us a few minutes ago to somebody that's never had that opportunity?
I would really just tell them to go in with an open mind and give it a try. One of the things that bothers me about some people is that they'll say that they don't like something or they don't want to do something because they've never tried it, right? And it's about giving it a try. And it's also about giving it a try with the right people, right? So
right.
If there's someone that is looking to get involved with golf, or I'm recommending them to be involved with golf, I would recommend they take group workshops. If they're hesitant women, I would recommend them take a women's group workshop. The Invite Her campaign is going on right now, and so there are lots of opportunities for individuals, for women to get involved and be a part of that, as well as for youth. It's not always easy to engage a child in a sport, whether it's golf or not, right? But putting them in an environment where they're with like-minded people and that the subject matter is being taught at their level and making it fun, I think that makes a difference. And if I could touch on, what you mentioned about me being in the corporate arena and really just being engaged in understanding the aspect of networking as a tool for golf, networking and golf being the tool, the thing that I would share with the business professional is that you don't have to be a par golfer to participate, right? And participating is not driving the refreshment card, right? And that there are people that will play with you as long as you understand the rules, you pick up when you need to, you hit when you need to, and that they're not judging you. When you think about golf from a business standpoint, they're not judging your game. When you're building those relationships on the golf course, they're looking at your patience, and you'll be able to analyze their patience if your game isn't where you want it to be. But it's also about having a conversation, right? They're going to get to know your personality. Right. Around the golf is 4 hours. That's a long time, right? And it is about just getting to know someone. And that is where the relationship building begins. Now, you may not, come away with the job on the golf course, but you may definitely come away with a rapport with that individual that will get you the interview, that will get you the job for that, for that particular thing, right? So it's about being able to have fun. Who wants to play with someone in a company tournament where you're slamming down your golf clubs or you're angry about every bad shot? Every golfer knows that unless you're being paid millions of dollars, every last one of your shots are not going to be perfect shots. You should be able to laugh at yourself. You should be able to regroup. You should be able to understand that whether or not you're going to be able to execute that shot or not, but still be okay with not spoiling the round for everyone else, right? I think that becomes a huge part of it because it's a misconception of what they feel business professionals feel we should be when we go out on the course, when the reality is that's not how it has to be.
Right, exactly. Well said. Cindy and Ashaunta, one of the things that I used to do in playing, I over the years I've been invited to a number of different corporate events just to participate for various reasons. And one of the things that I used to do is I would purposely ask to get into the group or into a group of individuals that were probably the worst players. And I'm talking about skill level. And the reason why I did this is they had more fun. Yes, it was frustrating at times. They couldn't hit the ball very well. But we had great conversations. We networked well, and we just had a lot of good times. The problem is there's always a handful of people at the corporate events that, are maybe not necessarily scratch golfers, but are high or low handicap golfers, and they're all about winning the tournament. For me, it wasn't so much about winning the event as it was just to go out and having fun and interacting with other, of my peers and so forth. And that's why I specifically targeted. And I'll be quite honest, some of the best rounds or most enjoyable rounds I played with women at these events because obviously at that time it was still pretty new to a lot of women executives, and they were able to just relax and have fun, because it was not so much about the competition as it was just having networking. And Cindy, you are involved as well with a lot of corporate individuals as well. Just I want you to share a few thoughts as well with everybody on your take on what Ashaunta was saying. Yeah.
Well, she's right on the money, and I don't really need to repeat everything, but she's right. You know, slamming your club down and getting angry is not going to help. Well, number one, you're going to look like a fool, and number two, you're not going to have any fun. And being afraid to participate in driving the drink cart, you know, that's what the LPGA's new initiative, Invite Her, is all about, to say, hey, come here, take my hand. I'm going to show you how to do this, and we're going to teach you how to play so that you can participate and have some fun. Don't you agree, Ashaunta?
Yeah,
I absolutely agree. Yes, yeah, and it there are so many activities going on right now, and the great thing about the Invite Her campaign is that when you go to those workshops, like Cindy said, they're holding your hand, so you get an opportunity to have fun. But they take you step by step through the process, so you begin to understand, you know, what you should and what you shouldn't do. And that's one of the reasons why people are so hesitant to play golf. One of the key things that we do with the Perfect Swing, so I do provide lessons. I'm a Class A member of the LPGA. I do provide lessons. Mm-hmm. However, the majority of what we do is more so play with the pro or practice with the pro, because we found that there have been several people that have been stuck on the range. They've hit balls.
Right.
It was never anyone to help them get out on the course. And the way we're structured today with the Perfect Swing, we go out probably at least 2 or 3 times a week, and we have a group that's actually playing best ball. And we categorize you based on your skill level. And if it's 20 of us out playing, it may be 4 to 6 people that are playing best ball, but everybody's playing together. Everyone's out having a good time, and everybody is learning and growing at their level. And they matriculate through the process to where they go from, you know, playing best ball to playing their own ball, for them to get to the level that they want to get to. So being able to get out on the course with someone that is nurturing, caring, that makes a difference in the way someone loves and appreciates the sport. And I think that's what that Invite Her campaign is all about. And with the Perfect Swing, we invite men as well, because we have some gentlemen that, again, it's been that fear. You don't want to have the guy standing behind you or the lady standing behind you with their arms crossed, leaning on their club with one leg up saying, are you done yet, right? But knowing that you wave them through, or you play best ball with someone that will keep the pace going until you get to a point where you can carry it yourself. But you're learning the rules, you're feeling good about yourself. You know, we're going to use one of your putts or your chips, even if we don't use your drive, right? You just begin to develop the love and appreciation for the game. So that's a lot of what we do as well, but definitely a huge advocate for the Invite Her campaign.
That's perfect. Cindy, go ahead and I'll let you pick up from here.
So if someone wanted to know more about what you do, how can they find out?
Oh, so they can go to our website, which is www.aperfectswing.net, net, I always say that. They can find us on Facebook under A Perfect Swing Golf. They can find our youth organization on Facebook under A Perfect Swing Golf Youth Foundation. We're also on Instagram and Twitter as A Perfect Swing, and you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as Ashaunta Epps. And we're also on LinkedIn as well.
Perfect.
So the major avenue would be www.aperfectswing.net. Oh, and then if you're not into social media, you can reach us via email at information@aperfectswing.net or via phone, area code 704-9844-1000. we're predominantly in the Charlotte, North Carolina area at the moment, but we're looking in the future. We have people travel this state to come to some of our workshops and participate. So we're always happy to have those that want to come join us and those that want to invite us to come join them, just in enjoying the sport.
Very good.
Awesome.
Some great,
Awesome.
Great stuff. Go ahead, Cindy.
That's okay. I'm done. You go ahead.
All right, Ashaunta, I want to talk about something here. This was another point that you wanted to bring up on the show, and obviously, unfortunately, because you weren't here last week with us, we weren't able to do it officially in the month of February. But of course, month of February is Black History Month, and a lot of African Americans, of course, have contributed to the game of golf. Why don't you touch a little bit about that? Obviously, I know a few of them, but why don't you touch on that a little bit on the discussion here?
Sure. Yeah, so there have been made significant contributions to the game of golf in terms of allowing people of color to have an opportunity to play. Everything from caddies to pro players. I'm sure everyone's probably heard, or if not, I want to share about Charlie Sifford, as well as Renee Powell, who's still working to grow the game today, as well as Lee Elders, a lot of different people, even Nancy Lopez, right, when it comes to minorities playing the game of golf, right? However, when we think about Black History Month and I think about golf, I like to think forward as well about how we can engage more minorities in the game of golf. And sometimes it may appear to be difficult just because of some of the conversations I've had, so as just inviting us to come out and play with you, right? Sometimes it's just as simple as putting a person of color on your flyer. If you think about it from a male-female standpoint, if I'm a woman and all the literature that I see for an organization has nothing but men in it, I'm not going to feel that women are natural instinct, right? So adding people of color to the advertisement in itself goes a long ways for engaging more minorities into the game of golf. But I would to research and see the efforts that African Americans have made in the golf arena, but also the forward thinking of engaging more African Americans or people of color in the sport, because it's not even just from a personal aspect, which is great, because we're a melting pot country, and it's an opportunity to meet a lot of different people, right? Understand their background, their culture. I travel a lot, and it's something that I enjoy doing. But not only that, it is an untapped economic market that businesses can take advantage of. And we have golf courses that are, North Carolina had 4 golf courses closed just last year alone, and that is an opportunity to welcome a new era or a different era of people that probably wanted to play golf but felt uncomfortable or thought about it. But you can share the love of golf with them, and they participate, and that in itself, in turn, helps you to continue to grow the game and grow your business as well.
Yeah, again, well said. One other individual I want to mention, I've had the pleasure of hosting his daughter a few times on my other broadcast, Golf Talk Live, on Thursday evenings, but is Peggy Rhodes White, and her father, of course, was Teddy Rhodes, who was a very well-known African-American golfer that played and actually won over 150 professional tournaments in his day. And, of course, obviously he's no longer with us. But, he was one of the pioneers even before some of the others that you mentioned. So people like, even Lee Elder and, of course, Tiger Woods really owe a lot to somebody like Ted Rhodes, who really spearheaded. And there were many others as well at that time, but he was one of the ones in the forefront. And then obviously, Charlie Sifford, who unfortunately senior is no longer with us, but junior is. But they were again pioneers as well in professional golf arena. So you're exactly right. I think that it's a matter of exposing, and it kind of, makes me wonder, with the golf industry right now losing so many golf courses and that maybe there's some opportunities reaching out. And I know they are through various programs, but I think that there are other ways as well that we can be reaching out to different communities. And I think one thing that you pointed out in your response that I think is spot on. People look at whether it be social media or magazines or brochures or what have you, if they can't identify with the individuals that are in that advertisement, it's very hard for them to feel included in that sport or event or what have you. So you're exactly right. I think the message that has to be out there, if we're truly going to be a sport or a game that is inclusive for everybody, then it has to be representative in the advertisement. And I'll tell you one organization that does a fantastic job with that, and that's the LPGA. Wouldn't you agree, Cindy?
I totally agree. Totally.
Yeah, they do a great job and really, helping to grow the game in a lot of these different areas. I hats off to all of the professionals like you, Cindy, and Ashaunta in the LPGA organization that are doing that. Share some final thoughts, if you wouldn't mind, Ashaunta, as we get ready to wrap up the show, what you would like to send out as a message to the listeners out there, not only about a perfect swing, but just about golf in general. What would you want to say?
Say that golf is a sport that you can play and enjoy even though you're not playing at its highest level. And it's a sport that you can play and enjoy all of your life, right? It's an opportunity to meet friends. It's an opportunity to engage with family members. And it is about developing, or it gives you an opportunity to develop quality time. So I would recommend everyone give it a shot, right? Don't be afraid. Jump in. Go to your local golf course, or actually go to the LPGA.com website and find a teacher, and really just give it a shot. Take an opportunity, take a risk, and you might find that you fall in love with it. I'd also recommend that you engage at least one youth in understanding or learning the fundamentals of the game of golf and see where it lies. My personal mission, based on my experience and of me from my injury, is that I want to put a golf club in every child's hand. So if everyone could do me a favor and take an opportunity to put a golf club in at least one child's hand this year, and see what it does for them, because you'll be amazed. It may not be that they go on to play on the tour, but it may just be that you allow them to find something that gives them inner peace and joy, and something that they can be proud of.
Right. Well said. I don't think we could have finished it off any better than that. Well, Ashaunta, Cindy and I want to thank you very much for joining us this morning. We're glad that you were able to make it this week. And again, we apologize that we didn't give you the number last week, but we're glad that you got it this week and were able to join us. And very quickly, again, just let the folks know the website link where they can go to get more information about A Perfect Swing.
Yes, www.aperfectswing.net. www.aperfectswing.net. And I appreciate you all having me on. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it, and keep up the great work. I think you're doing a fantastic job, and you've got a great message, and we wish you nothing but continued success with A Perfect Swing, and we hope you'll come back and join us again sometime.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. Thank you, Ashaunta.
Uh-huh.
All right. That was our very special guest, the CEO and founder of A Perfect Swing, Ashaunta Epps. What a very interesting story and some great information for those that maybe haven't given golf a try, Cindy, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully a lot of folks that tuned in this morning will go away with a very positive message and go out and do just as she suggested. I think if we go out there and put a golf club in the hands of at least one child particularly, or adult as well, this season that maybe hasn't played before. I think we'll see that at least a few of them are going to get bitten by the bug. Cindy, we're going to be looking forward to having the winner of this week's Symetra Tour event join us next week, and we're not sure who that's going to be yet, but we want to wish all of the young ladies on the Symetra Tour the best of luck as they kick off the season this week in North Florida, and we will bring you the winner next week. And on behalf of Cindy Miller and I'm Ted Odorico. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the Women of Golf Show. Thanks, Cindy.
Thanks, Ted. Have a great week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening this morning to the Women of Golf Show. Tune in live each week by visiting blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf or on any of these social media platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, CastBox, TalkStream Live, and of course Spotify. If you can't join us live, check out our on-demand section for previously aired broadcasts. To get updates for future shows and upcoming guests, you can follow us on Facebook at Women of Golf. You can also follow me on Twitter at Ted and Buck CEO and Cindy at Cindy Miller Golf. Please remember to join us next week on the Women of Golf Show. See you next time. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.